Welcome to the Maverrik podcast, business growth tips and discussions to make you the expert in demand.
Hello and welcome to the Maverrik podcast. I am Luke 2 and today I'm joined by Adriana Tica.
Hi, Luke.
Hi, how's it going?
All good.
Fantastic. So during most of the guest interviews I have, I explain what have you been doing for the past 2 years of your business. I know you've run like 3 businesses, so I didn't want to say where you were from straight away because you've got
Yeah.
quite a few going. But over the past 2 years, what have you been working on currently?
So over the past 2 years, I've been running my digital marketing agencies. My digital marketing agencies are mostly focused on content marketing and social media strategy. And this past year, or rather this past few months, I've launched a new business, a consulting business that also focuses on digital products. And I guess the newest item about this third business is a trend analysis and forecasting component. I believe that, after a lot of talks with my clients from the agency, I realized that a lot of people are interested in creating strategies that are future oriented. So I saw a need for this type of service in the business and in the marketing world. So yeah, that's what my newest launch has been all about.
Fantastic. So a lot of content marketing, trend analysis. Can you go into a little more detail about what trend analysis entails for people listening?
It entails getting a sneak peek into the future, if you will. For instance, depending on the kind of business you have, like Maverrik is all about social media consulting. Maybe you'd want to see where social media is going. Are there any emerging platforms? And if there are, what are they suitable for? Are they better for B2B marketing, for B2C marketing? What about the generations on those social networks? So trend analysis can tell you pretty much anything that's going to happen or anything that's likely to happen, because it's not exactly divination or crystal ball.
Yeah, because when you talk about trends in social media, it's different, isn't it? The trend can be like the current challenge or content that goes out there, or if you're looking at TikTok, it would be their trending sounds or their trending themes.
Absolutely.
Because when it comes to putting something out there on social, a lot of the time it's trying to guess what the internet is doing. So I'm guessing
Yeah,
trend analysis in terms of the platform itself. I know everyone wants to know what's going to happen with Twitter in the next like 1 or 2 years, because it's just been a complete wild west with what Elon Musk is doing. So it'll be
absolutely.
interesting to see, even from like an advertising point of view, where that's heading. So in terms of how you do that, I guess that's kind of what you help people understand with your consulting is, okay, this is the areas you can see where things are moving, so you can actually pivot your business correctly with your content marketing, what's the word? Your content marketing plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about content marketing. It can be actually about your entire business strategy. Because like you've said, within a trend, you can find a lot of other trends. So you've got maybe this mega trend that's video on social media. It's not news anymore. But within that, you've got the trending sounds that you've mentioned, the new generations that join each platform and what they expect from that platform and whether that platform will adapt to their needs or not. And actually, it's very interesting. It's very interesting work, because you get to mine all these different data pools, and you get to gather insights from everyone. Because on the one hand, you want to look at the advertisers themselves, because most of the social media platforms can't exist without advertisers, for instance, but also the users and the other stakeholders. So, yeah,
Everyone
yeah,
likes the word trending because it has such a good connotation online. It has for a while. It's got like it's one of those connotations of, oh, if I'm trending, that means I'm doing really well and really successful. My content's going really well and successful. But then there's also, you could be trending in the wrong direction, or the trends could be turning against you. So
absolutely.
it could also be a good indicator of, okay, I see where the trend's going, and you can know when to like hop off the trend in a sense. Because I know I'm going to say, go back to advertising, a lot of people were hopping off Twitter just to see how it was going to go. And then a lot
Yeah.
of people were moving away from, I mean, at the time it was Facebook moving into Instagram. And it's interesting to see how people are reacting, because I think the online space, especially advertising space as well, it can be very reactive, can't it?
Yeah, for instance, Elon Musk is trending now. He's downright viral, but that's not always a good thing for him or for Twitter, you know? Like Twitter has a lot of new followers right now, but most of the new, I mean, not followers, users, but most of the new users are there to see it crash and burn, or to wait and see if it crashes and burns, or if it somehow magically bounces back.
So, in terms of your consulting with trending, do you work a lot with organic content as well, and trying to get more people to post out their content and try and build an organic audience?
Yes, absolutely. And it actually ties in very nicely because there's an interesting trend in content marketing itself that a lot of people are more interested in building actual communities and delivering content that's a bit different, content that has a voice. We're sort of moving past the voiceless sameness that we used to see in content marketing, and the current explosion of digital creators and people creating their own newsletters for their own community, that maybe even a tiny community. I mean, under 10K subscribers, you can still make a difference. We see a lot of that in the world of content marketing, and it's definitely a direction that I explore with my clients. And I have clients that have been with my agency for the past 7 years, and it's really fascinating to see them evolve, to change strategy, and to sort of have a front row seat to how they're moving and how they're riding the different trends and waves.
You can see how we're progressing. We'll go from just because when it comes to we teach this a lot in a lot of our courses, is how you can sell your expertise.
Yeah,
Because there'd be a lot that you know, and there'd be a lot you can communicate, but how you communicate seems like the dividing factor between you actually growing a business and a brand, between you just posting as much as possible and trying to get some traction. So it can be tough to communicate what you know, because people spend years and years working in businesses and developing this knowledge, and then they go out there and they say, okay, I'm going to consult people. I want them to know what I know. I don't want them to make mistakes that I've made. But if you give that information out in the wrong way, you're kind of just repeating yourself, and you can feel a bit disheartened that all your content that you're making isn't going very far. And it's a way of doing it consistently so you can gain traction and build that community. Because I feel like most of the time people say, I'm going to run into social media, I'm going to do this. They spend about a month or two getting some really great content out there, but it's not quite clicking with it. And
yeah.
it's something's not quite clicking with your audience. And then it can be disheartening, because you've tried so hard, you've written ebooks, you've written documents, you've got white papers, you've built a great website, you've built great courses, but no one seems to be like turning up. And it's all because if one thing doesn't resonate. So it's kind of, I guess, and that's what you're focusing on with the trends, is like, oh, am I on the right platform? Is my message right? And
Exactly.
you can kind of go from questioning yourself to questioning then the platforms itself, or you bring in a lot of tools to, make that work as well. And
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
fall
and
in that, dismay.
absolutely. And what you mentioned earlier about people putting in a month or two into social media and then being disheartened because it doesn't work the way they wanted it to be. I think one of the reasons that doesn't happen is because they forget to search for their own voice while they do that. There's a lot of sameness on social media right now, because you've got a few influencers that have done really, really well, and everyone wants to emulate their style. But it gets boring, it gets redundant, and people are looking for new voices, new takes, maybe even contrarian takes. But that's also a bit of a murky thing to nail right, to get it right. So yeah, I think that if you can find the right platform for you, and the right voice to express your opinions, and to showcase your experience and your expertise, yeah, then you've got a winning strategy. But the trick is finding the right balance between all of these things.
Yeah, I agree, because if you're bouncing between different things, I think you can always have a problem with, okay, if this isn't going right, I'm going to focus on my energy on this element. and then you could be focusing on the wrong thing. So say you think your content isn't as polished enough. So what you do is you buy a lot of expensive camera equipment, and you invest in all the tools, and you invest in all the podcasts, the deck, the mic. Maybe you hired some specialists and freelancers to really make your editing smooth, and you get a really great end product. But you haven't thought about how you're posting it. You haven't thought about what happens after the post, or you haven't actually formulated a good call to action at the end that people click onto. So then it's kind of like you've made a great video, but it doesn't serve a purpose. So what you've done there is you've gone all in on the creation and not the optimizing on at the end of it. Or what you've done is you've decided to optimize your message and it's really good, but you're getting beaten by quality now because you're seeing that what you're doing is you're doing it all by yourself, and you've kind of are just working with what you have, and that's fine. You don't need to have the best top equipment to like get out there and make a good podcast or make a good piece of content, but it could be better if you spend a little bit more time on it. So then I guess it's a
Exactly.
battle then between what do you spend your time doing.
Exactly. I'm finding the right balance, because even if you put together a Hollywood-worthy production, but the message falls kind of flat, no one's going to resonate with you. I mean, the image is crystal clear, the sound is perfect, but it's kind of boring. And then again, if you don't spend enough time on the message that you're trying to send, it doesn't work that way. Or the other way around, your image is very poor, so it's going to annoy me trying to watch your video all the way through the end.
So I was doing some research on Business Created, and one of them was helping with copywriting in itself and writing, because I feel that's something a lot of consultants that we work with, they have a lot of knowledge, but writing it down on paper can be tough. Do you have any expert advice for copywriting for a business owner can use?
It depends on where they're getting started, because I've met business owners who are actually very good at writing. They just don't have the time to polish their skills to make them even better, to take them to the next level. So typically my advice would be stay in your zone of genius and outsource the things you're not very good at. But then again, there are entrepreneurs and solopreneurs who want their own voice there, and they want to be the writers of what they're putting out there. Because if you hire a copywriter, there's always a filter, between you and your audience, even if they can emulate your voice and send your message very clearly. So my one tip for them would be to keep writing. Maybe the first LinkedIn posts or the first emails aren't going to be very, very good, but it takes time to find your voice. It takes time to find those perfect turns of phrases that make people scroll even more. And yes, it takes time to polish those skills. So pretty much you have a choice. If you don't want to invest that time in polishing your skills, hire someone, outsource it. There's thousands of good copywriters out there for everything you need, from emails to social media to microcopy and everything in between. But if you do, and if you feel that it's something very important to you to always deliver your message in your own voice, you're going to need to invest some time in it.
Yeah, something we've added here. We have a lot of copywriters out in the team, and we work with a lot of consultants building their LinkedIn posts sometimes and say, maybe you want to tweak this. What we found helped was they would develop their own language. So in our language ourselves, we use certain phrases because we know it resonate with our audience.
Yeah.
So our main key message is you want to get more clients and you want to scale your business. That's the two things we want to help achieve with our consultants or coaches, and then anyone that we work with. We want to make sure they're getting the clients, they're scaling their business, and they're not spending all of their days selling. And then that's kind of that phrase is woven into all that we write. We've also got a language list as well of just certain phrases which we want people to associate. Okay, I've heard that before, that's a Maverrik term. And we can do that for consultants where we're like, I've heard that before, that's this term. So when you're working with a copywriter or a freelancer, I'm guessing if you handed them a whole list of, okay, this is the language I like to use, this is my course names, and this is the tone of voice I'm using, it's probably easier to help construct a brief rather than try and become a fantastic copywriter overnight with a few templates.
Yeah, absolutely. But this assumes that you already have those things in place. You can also start earlier on and work with that copywriter to polish your language and to create those templatized messages that you can easily send out when you need them to. So you can pretty much do everything you want. You can start at any point in your creator journey or in your social media journey. You can start working with a copywriter or working on your own skills. I think that's the beauty of the connected world. That there's a place for every type of voice out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to have like, I mean, especially in the community where it's like digital marketing and content marketing, because it feels like everyone's kind of like just posting stuff out there, and it's all value pieces, which is good because it's what we teach to sell on. You need to sell on value because everyone skips past ads. I did a LinkedIn blog before where I put in a fake ad, and all the text on the ad was like, "This is completely fake. No, this is really dumb." And I had a lot of comments, and a lot of them skipped past until the last line where it said, "By the way, did you notice I put an ad in here?" And it was just to highlight that people, if they see anything that looks like an advert, they're going to skip past it. If they see something which is valuable to them, or like a good piece of information, or someone who can help them achieve a certain goal, they're going to take more notice of you. So having to communicate that in your writing, I'd say, is a good skill to have. And if you can't manage that, then yeah, you're having to work on how you communicate your briefs and how you collaborate with people online is probably like a good skill to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could also advise in trying to refrain from drinking the Kool-Aid that's trending on social media, because I'm sure you've noticed that most of the posts on LinkedIn and Twitter, if you look at bubbles at the same spaces, you'll see that everyone is trying to push a square peg into a circle. They're trying to take a template or a system from someone who created it and who swears by it and replicate it identically for their own strategy. But it doesn't always work, If you don't have the same personality, it's going to show. And sometimes it pays off to be a contrarian, to go against the wind. Because in my new business, I send out a weekly newsletter that helps people to prepare for what's coming. And it's trends analysis, various research reports, and so on. And the common mantra is to keep your emails short. The email I'm sending today, I think it has around 1,400 words, because it's an in-depth topic, and most of my emails are either story-based, which makes them extra long, or a very in-depth analysis. This is very uncommon in this space. But I was amazed myself, even though I was swearing by it, I was amazed to see those huge open rates in my emails. Because, yeah, people want to read, and they are going to read a lot, if it's good enough. If it's not, they'll skip past everything.
Exactly. If you've got a community of people, and it's a warm list as well of people who are like, interested in what you have to say, and you're providing enough value each time, your open rates will continue to be consistent because they're like, okay, it's the next newsletter. Fantastic. I enjoyed the other one. I'm gonna click on this one, and we're just gonna keep going up.
Yeah.
Is what we post. I think most weeks we put out a value post where we want someone to achieve something. So if they're struggling to get profile views, we'll give them profile optimization tips. If they're struggling with the content, we'll give them a few tips on how to structure it so they can get more views and more people to click through. But yeah, once again, it's all about, even if it's on email, if it's on social, it's all about providing that value and that content. So finally, in terms of an expert tip, what would be your one expert tip that you would give to anyone right now looking to grow in content marketing or trend analysis?
I would advise them to get a broader view on what's happening. Currently, the consensus among economists is that we're looking at a recession. And even though you're not working in the financial space, you need to understand that it's going to affect you and everyone else. So I think that if you want to have a breakthrough in the following year, you're going to need to adapt your messaging, your tone of voice, even the products and the services you're offering. And this doesn't necessarily involve slashing your prices and offering everything in half because, inflation and everyone's struggling with budgets. Quite the opposite. It means offering value and helping people navigate, I don't want to say uncertain times, but I think the uncertain times are coming back, Yeah.
It's consistent. It's consistent. If one thing consistent in the world, it's inconsistency.
Absolutely, yes. So if you can help them navigate uncertainty in any way your expertise can do that. For instance, you at Maverrik are helping people build up their social media accounts. That's a useful skill. It helps to have a critical mass of fans if and when a recession really drags us down to the bottom again. So you need to find the value that the people can get from your products or your services, but also put it in context.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you for joining me, Adriana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Luke.
No problem. If you have liked this episode of the Maverrik podcast, please subscribe to us, like and share as much as you'd like, and we'll see you next time for our next podcast.